After 4 hours, thousands of stranded passengers have been allowed to go back through security.
That's after a security scare this afternoon forced the entire Terminal 2 of the Daniel K. Inouye International Airport to be evacuated. Howard Dashevsky has been at the airport all day long, and he joins us now with the very latest. Hey, Howard.
Yeah, Lauren, Bridget, good evening to you from the Daniel K. Inouye International Airport. I'm going to get out of the way. You can take a look at behind me. These are the many folks that have been waiting in line now since about 6 o'clock. That is when the lines to TSA reopened after a nearly 3-hour delay. Now what happened is shortly after 2 o'clock this afternoon, as folks were routinely going through the TSA checkpoint lines, somebody opened their bag to get through security. They had a laptop or two in their bag, and apparently it started to smoke. Well, once that happened, somebody shouted the words "active shooter." Those words were then apparently echoed by TSA agents. Next thing you know, there was pandemonium inside this particular TSA checkpoint. It's checkpoint 3 at Terminal 2. What happened is many people, instead of running back out, many people breached security by running through the security barriers and into the terminal. Well, once that happened, they determined that the entire terminal was then unsterile. So what did that mean? Well, they then had to take people off planes that were in the process of boarding, and every single person that was in Terminal 2, and we are talking thousands of people, had to exit, and they were all brought outside. We have some video of what it looked like a couple of hours ago, and I could also tell you at about 2:30, 3 o'clock, it was a sweltering hot day, and people by the thousands were out there on the blacktop. The roads were shut down leading to the airports where you would normally drop off people at the departure gates. It was a really bizarre scene as everybody was just kind of waiting around. Of course, there was calm then because people came to the realization there was not a shooter, there was no imminent threat. However, we can tell you that there were some moments of concern initially. We did have an opportunity to talk to the Department of Transportation spokesman Tim Sakahara not too long after the situation unfolded. He described what he knew at the time.
Is not and was never an active shooter situation at the airport. That was a completely false situation and a false report. So that was never the case. What happened this afternoon, shortly after 2 o'clock, operations were going as normal at the airport. What the preliminary indications are was that there was a couple with a laptop battery, actually 2 laptops, that started to overheat. One of them started to pop, and it actually even started to smoke afterwards as well. So there was that happened. From that situation, though, is still where we're trying to determine where some maybe panic happened, because at that point, some of the passengers or may have gone through the security checkpoint without being screened. At that point, officials were called, the aircraft rescue and firefighting units that are stationed here at the airport were called and responded. There was never any fire, but the laptop did malfunction, start to smoke, and have a popping sound. So from there, that's when that checkpoint, it happened at checkpoint 3 in Terminal 2, was shut down and closed. People were told to exit that area as the authorities looked into what happened.
So again, as Tim Sakahara was telling us that, he didn't have a full grasp of the situation because it was continuing to unfold. Subsequently, we learned that flights that had shut their doors and were on the tarmac, they were free to hightail it on out of here. But flights that were still in the process of being boarded, well, those people all had to come off and they have to go through the process again. That's what's happening here. Now, we did talk to one young man who was very close to the conveyor belt when that suspect lithium battery burst into flames or made that popping sound. This is what he described as what he saw.
And then I look over to the other side, the other area where the bags were being put through, and I see this little suitcase, this little gray suitcase, and some smoke is coming out of it. And so I'm like, oh, what's that? And then I smell what appeared to be burning plastic. So I thought it was, I had the hunch it was going to be like a laptop. So I just kind of like calmly watched, but everyone else like kind of like freaked out. Like people went this way, people went that way.
Okay, so right now what's happening is all these people are going back to, you're heading to Dallas. The line is at least finally moving fast. Tell me about this day for you.
Well, we got started and they were like, okay, everybody go outside. So then we went outside and then we came back And we were in line, and then they were like, okay, you're gonna have to come sit over here. And then we just got back in line after waiting over there.
Did you have a nice time in Hawaii, though?
Oh yeah, it was a blast.
All right. Well, good to see you. Have a safe flight. Go join your family. Don't lose your place in line. One thing that I can tell you, this line here, it's actually moving faster than I've ever seen the TSA lines move. Part of the reason, this is not the TSA pre-check, this is the standard security line. But they did bring in as many K-9 teams as possible. And those K-9 teams are kind of scanning the line, going through and kind of walking in between all the passengers. And because those K-9s are taking the time to kind of sniff around, they're not requiring any of these passengers to take off their shoes. That in itself saves a whole lot of time. Of course, people still got to take out their laptops and their iPads and all that, but these people, they're moving. The line is moving quickly, and except for some tense moments at the very beginning when people did, in fact, and we have several witness accounts say that people scream the words, active shooting, you can understand why that sent people into somewhat of a panic situation. But the lines are moving now. Nobody's going to miss their flight because all the planes that were ready to leave, well, they're not going anywhere because they were dead empty. But now the people are making their way through. They did talk about kind of going through the line and asking the people who had the earlier flights to get in line first. They realized that wasn't going to work. I can tell you airport personnel are doing everything possible. At one point during the afternoon, they shepherded as many people downstairs to the baggage claim area because that part of the airport is at least enclosed. There's air conditioning. So they went out of the way to find kapuna, anybody in a wheelchair, anybody pregnant, children, people that might be more subject to heat issues. They got those people down into the air conditioning, different airline personnel, and people were walking around with water. So I will say the airport, they did everything possible to keep these people as comfortable as possible. And once again, as you're watching the process behind me, the line is moving about as quickly as you could expect it to ever move at TSA. So hopefully these people will all be back on their flights and heading destination unknown, but wherever they're heading, wish them a safe flight, and certainly they're going to have a story to tell when they get to their destination.
Thanks for the update, Dash. Other witnesses we spoke to say today was just pure chaos at the airport.
I don't know where it came from, but there was multiple TSA agents yelling, active shooter, run, take off. We were running, literally 50 people were running through the TSA gate, trampling each other, trying to get through, and then just separating off to different areas. They said she got separated off. They took her down below, down to like a secure area, I guess, and then we had to wait until we could get back in touch with her afterwards until they released everybody.
They were telling me like to go under the thing because there was an active shooter, and when I was waiting in like the safe location, they said that there was an active shooter, and they were telling us that, and like that we needed to like duck and stuff like that.
Now again, the TSA says a laptop in someone's carry-on luggage overheated. But some people in the area thought they heard gunshots, and of course that led to a terrifying and chaotic afternoon at the airport.
We heard some, sounded like shots, but they were pow, pow, and then a delay and pow, pow again.
Moments of panic at Honolulu's airport.
People were screaming, shooter, bomb.
But there was no active shooter.
There was a couple with a laptop battery, actually two laptops, that started to overheat. One of them started to pop, and it actually even started to smoke.
If the battery is shorting out and you feel that it's hot to the touch.
Richard Steele is a computer expert. He says laptops contain lithium batteries. And while extremely rare, they can explode.
It doesn't happen very often. Having said that, it's not unheard of because you may recall a few years ago, Samsung Galaxy 7 phones had this problem with their batteries exploding.
He says if your device gets hot, that's a red flag.
Generally, it would take a short circuit within the battery itself that would cause the battery to get very hot. And once it gets to a certain temperature, it starts reacting with the oxygen in the air. And that's when a fire and an explosion can occur.
For that reason, the FAA says all devices with lithium batteries like phones and laptops should be in your carry-on. Loose lithium batteries must also be with you. That's so if an incident like today's happens on the plane, the cabin crew can put it out.